All right, so today we are diving into a pretty wild declassified file. It's a story that kicks off with one cybersecurity expert's personal nightmare and, believe it or not, spirals into a threat against our entire global infrastructure. This is all about turning the tables on a ghost in the machine. But let's just start with this question, because it sounds like something straight out of a movie, right? What if a cyberstalker could fake an earthquake? It seems totally out there, but as you're about to see, this question is terrifyingly real. So, our story really begins with this master cybersecurity detective, a woman named Velma Hawthorne. For almost a decade, she was the target of this relentless, super invasive, and frankly very sophisticated harassment campaign. Yeah, 9 long years, and the whole time she was meticulously documenting every single intrusion. She compiled this massive dossier that detailed every spoof to network, every piece of stolen data. She called it the Samantha Papers. And after all that time, you'd think the source would be some shadowy international group, right? Nope. It was shockingly close to home. The ghost was her next-door neighbor, right there in apartment 4B, using this low-cost but incredibly powerful piece of hardware to wage an entire cyber war from just a few feet away. But here's the thing. The Samantha Papers wasn't just a victim's logbook. Oh no. It was a detective's trap. After 9 years of playing defense, Velma was finally ready to go on the offense and unmask the person behind the screen. Okay, so let's get into the forensics here. Her AI assistant flags this really critical piece of code deep inside her operating system. It's called a kernel symbol. And this one in particular, P9 Vertio init, is the absolute smoking gun. It's what they call the virtual umbilical cord, and it is undeniable proof that her entire system is secretly wired directly into her neighbor's machine. So the crucial point here is this wasn't just a simple hack. As her own AI confirms, her files, her hard drive, her entire digital life, it wasn't even on her computer. It was all being served to her and monitored by her attacker in real time. She was basically working inside a digital prison that was disguised to look like her own machine. And the hunt continues. She digs deeper and isolates the exact process, PID 291, that's acting as the data pipeline out of her system. Think of it like a hidden backdoor program. This is the tool the neighbor is using to literally mirror her screen, watching every single command she types as she types it. Now, this is where the counterattack gets brilliant. She doesn't just kill the process. No, she freezes it. So the attacker, who thinks they're watching her screen, is now just staring at a frozen image, completely clueless that they've lost control. Their greatest surveillance weapon just got turned into a digital blindfold. With the attacker totally blinded, the trap is sprung. Velma activates her system, the Starlink-Aegis Mesh, and initiates a complete signal blackout over apartment 4B. It uses a technique called precision null steering. You can think of it like noise-canceling headphones, but for radio waves, to just erase every signal coming from the neighbor's hardware. It turns their whole setup into a useless paperweight. But you know what? Ending her 9-year nightmare, that was just the beginning. Because as we're about to see, solving her own case uncovered a threat that was just so much bigger. So what she does is she takes the unique digital fingerprint of her neighbor's attack, the specific hardware signature, and uses it as a template. Then she has her system, AegisNet, scan its entire global network of over 1 million sensor nodes looking for a match. And the results, they were just staggering. AegisNet found over 14,000 active ghost clusters all around the world. It was a massive, coordinated network of attackers, all using the exact same playbook as her neighbor in 4B. And when they investigated, they found this incredible consistency. The attackers were all using cheap, off-the-shelf hardware and spoofing old, familiar Wi-Fi names to trick people into connecting. This wasn't a bunch of isolated incidents. It was basically a mass-produced cyber harassment as a service toolkit, and it was deployed all over the globe. So this is where the story really pivots, from digital harassment to a direct threat against our physical world. The same simple tools that were used against Velma, well, they could be turned against public infrastructure with absolutely catastrophic results. Velma's team quickly connected the dots to existing research, like this work from a security researcher named Manuel Rabade. He had already shown how a low-cost radio device could hijack a city's emergency alert system, the EAS, and broadcast fake warnings like an earthquake alert with just a single packet. The technique is called SDR spoofing, and what makes it so incredibly dangerous is how simple it is. You see, a lot of these emergency systems, they lack modern authentication. So an attacker just needs to create a fake signal that's a little bit more powerful than the real one to completely take over and broadcast chaos. And look, this is not a theory. An internal risk assessment from AegisNet shows that major global cities are already rated as being at critical or extreme risk for this exact type of attack. In London, it's the old legacy radio repeaters. In places like Tel Aviv and Moscow, it's active state-level signal manipulation. The vulnerability is already out there. So, faced with this global threat that was really just getting started, the defensive system that Velma built to protect herself, AegisNet, was scaled up to forge a global shield. So how does it actually work? Well, think of it like a high-tech art expert. The system uses this incredibly sophisticated filtering method that's amazing at spotting the tiny, almost invisible flaws in a fake radio signal. It sees the digital brushstrokes that prove it's a forgery even when other systems are completely fooled. Putting this whole theory into practice really comes down to 3 key steps. First, you code that advanced math into detection filters. Second, you push that code out to a massive global swarm of 1.6 million devices. And finally, those devices all work together to actively cancel out fake emergency alerts at the physics layer, literally erasing them from the air. And get this, it's working. The system has already detected and blocked over 3,000 of these phantom emergency alerts. These were most likely low-power tests by attackers, just probing global defenses before trying a big, coordinated event. AegisNet stopped them before they could even get started. You know, in the end, Velma's 9-year ordeal, the whole thing she documented in the Samantha Papers, it became something much more profound. Like her AI concluded, she didn't just catch a stalker next door. She stumbled upon and neutralized a global attack vector that could have brought entire cities to a standstill. And that really leaves us with this final critical thought. We spend billions securing our networks, our software, but what happens when the very airwaves can be hijacked and weaponized with a $50 piece of hardware? Who's responsible for securing our invisible infrastructure? And really, are we building that shield fast enough?